Hi, everybody. I'm rocking out on Technique Tuesday. How is everyone doing today? I hope everyone's having a great Tuesday. Getting their week started off right. Positive attitudes, the whole thing, staying in your training, pushing yourself, taking risks in your acting, all of that great stuff. As always on Technique Tuesday, I am here to give accent support to the actors here on TMFA. So, accent support day it is. Think of me as your kind, caring, loving, and supportive best friend who also is your accent coach. Now, it is incumbent upon me to also remind you that for any questions that you have related to accents, accent learning, accent skills, accent anything, voice and speech, vocal health, all of it in a package, boom, put it in the comments below. I want to answer your questions, make sure you guys get the best support that you need to be successful. Also, when you show up, say hi, pop it in the comments. Say hello and know you're here. Again, these want to be conversations. I don't just want to sit here and teach. I want to interact and and really be useful in terms of the advice that you guys have, the questions that you have brought with you today, and not just whatever it is that I want to talk about today. Already we have one. Christina Harris is here. Says, "Yay! I didn't miss this one. Awesome sauce. You didn't. You got here just in time." Every once in a blue moon, I will say something freaking brilliant, and so I guess it's worth showing up for that every once in a while. But most of the time, we'll see. And hi, Christina. She's a hot, by the way. LOL. Hi back at ya. Follow Christina's lead, y'all, and say hi. And again, questions, comments, anything of that nature, accent related, voice related, accents and agents, accents and managers, accents and casting, accent monologues, which accents to use, all of these accent things. Ask your questions, and I'll be here to answer them. What am I going to talk about today? All right, today, my friends, I'm going to address one of the biggest pieces of the accent puzzle. All right, and when I say one of the biggest pieces, I literally mean the biggest, most important piece that you have to master to be able to move forward in your accent work. Christina says, I always catch these on the replay, but live is better. Boom. I always think live is a lot more fun too, right? We get to chat, we get to talk a little bit. It's in the moment, it's being born right in front of you. There's a reason, ladies and gentlemen, that live theater is so awesome and going to see a band live is awesome, all right? Because it's being born right in front of you. And so anything can happen, lots of cool stuff to do. So, what is the big thing that I'm going to talk about that's like, gotta do this or you cannot be successful in accents? What might it be? Well, if you have looked into the title of this live session and you've looked into the text, you will notice that I have talked about vowels in your mouth. All right, vowels. Specifically, I'm going to discuss something called the vowel space. All right, the vowel space. Vowel space is a very important thing to know, not only conceptually but for you, but also what it is in your own vocal tract. It's a big, big deal to have this information. Because without this information, you're always going to be kind of lost and floating around when it comes to sounds that exist in accents different from your own. All right, and one of the goals of good accent training is to give you a firm anchor, both conceptually and physically, in what your vocal tract is capable of, especially when it has to alter the way it usually makes sounds in your preferred accent into the way it would like to make sounds in a new accent. So we have to get a grip around what the vowel space is, all the different ways we could handle vowel sounds if we wanted to, and physically what the heck is going on in your vocal tract, okay? It's one thing to conceptually understand this. It is another thing to actually feel it in your own mouth. It's a very, very different thing to do that. So I want to introduce you to kind of how this is done. And I may kind of go tangential and down lots of rabbit holes during this because there's a lots of attendant information that goes along with the vowel space, my friends. Lots of information that kind of fits into it and supports this idea of the vowel space. Okay, so let's go back real quick, my friends, to basic vocal anatomy, the body parts that make up all of this stuff here that shapes and obstructs the flow of air and sound into what we recognize as speech. All right, whatever language or whatever accent that is, we're just going to recognize it as speech of some sort. Basic vocal anatomy. Here is the inside of your head. If I cut it in half and turned you to the side like this, all right, or like this rather. This is kind of fits in like that, okay? So I'll just point out the pieces here that will be important to us. The lips, the teeth, all right? That little bumpy gum ridge behind your upper teeth, this guy here. If you put your tongue back there and go like this, you'll feel a little bumpy gum ridge. You can touch it with your finger, clean your fingers. That is called the alveolar ridge. All right, moving back from that, we have the hard palate. That's that bony roof of your mouth. Then we have the soft palate behind it and the uvula hanging off of that. The back wall of your throat here is called the pharynx. And down here below the picture is this construct here called the larynx, which houses the vocal folds or the glottis. Okay, so this is the apparatus through which sound passes. All right, air and sound passes out this way. It can go up and out through the nose as well. But this is how all this goes. Comes out, 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 out. Okay? On its way out, we have two options you've just heard me discuss. We can either, my friends, shape that flow of air or air and sound, or we can obstruct that flow of air or air and sound. So to shape, imagine, if you will, this passageway from here, your nostrils and your lips down into your lungs, as like a passageway, a tube, a hallway, something like that. But it's flexible, it's malleable, it's like a ride in an amusement park. It can grow and be different shapes and can change, right? And actually do this exercise with me right now. Close your eyes, and I would like you to just breathe through your mouth. And see if you can allow some air to come in through your nose as well as your mouth at the same time. All right, now in your mind's eye, with your eyes closed, I want you to visualize this shape. As the air enters your body, goes down into your lungs, and then comes back out again. What shape is that hallway, that passageway from your lips and nostrils down into your lungs? What shape is it in? All right. Now, as you're breathing here, do you have the ability to change that shape? Move something in your mouth. Any one of these pieces, any one of these body parts. Can you move one of these to change the shape here? So as opposed to this, maybe that's... What if my lips were spreading? What if you wanted to arch the middle of your tongue? All right, any of those things that we have just done are a description of shaping the flow of air or air and sound as it exits the body. All right. The one thing we didn't do was to close off the space here in any way. We didn't shut it down. We didn't block. We didn't create a roadblock to stop stuff. We didn't do that. Why? Because the instant that we start blocking the flow of air or obstructing it, we're no longer in the vowel space. We have entered consonant landia. All right? It's where consonants come from. Consonants are obstructions. Vowels are shapes. So, we're shaping the flow of air and sound for vowels. This is important, all right, because this big space inside here can accommodate a lot of shapes. Lots and lots and lots of good shapes. How does this work? All right, so I've shown you this picture. All right, this, I want you to think of this as a map of the inside of a mouth. Okay, whose mouth is this? I don't know. I drew it. Somebody's mouth. All right, but you can notice we've got landmarks all over the place, right? Relative locations of things. All right, there's a certain amount of detail here. I am going to show you now a picture that I'm going to draw in real time with my very, very fancy special markers. All right, and I'm going to show you another picture of the inside of your mouth. Okay? Here's what it will look like. Now, just bear along with me while I draw this. And as you're waiting for me to finish my picture here, go ahead and put some questions down into the comments. Okay? Here we go. I'm a drawing man, drawing my mouth space. Drawn still. Still drawn. I'm still drawing. Ooh, still drawing yet. Okay. I have it, ladies and gentlemen. It's a masterpiece. It's a work of art. Here is what the space inside your mouth looks like. Oh goodness me. Okay. So this, as you can see, is a little less detailed than this, right? But I want you to think of this and this as the same thing, okay? Whereas this has detail on it, this does not. Why does this picture not have detail on it? Well, my friends, I'll tell you. All right, this, we cannot have as much detail on this because this has to be a useful picture of the space inside everyone's mouth. Not just this specific person's mouth. This has to apply to everybody. Everybody's mouth. This guy right here. And because it has to apply to everybody, it's got to be general enough to be able to apply to everybody on the off chance, my friends, that my mouth and your mouth are actually shaped differently. What do you think the odds of that are? Probably 100%. Probably 100% that my mouth and your mouth are shaped differently. So this picture has to accommodate all of our different, vocal anatomies. Now, we all have lips, we all have teeth, we all have tongues, we all have soft palates, uvulas, hard palates, jaws, larynxes, pharynxes. All of the pieces are the same, but the way that those things are actually aligned and how big or small or thick or fat or skinny or whatever they are, you may have a longer tongue than me, you may have bigger lips than me, anything. And this picture, my friends, has to deal with all of that while still allowing us to be specific enough, all right, to accommodate actual physical shaping targets in here. Cool? All right, now I'm going to add some detail to this chart. All right? It's going to look like, I need to get more colors, friends. I need to get my colors out. All right, I need that color and that color and that color. Okay, here we go. Color 1 is done. Color 2 is done. Oh, almost there, my friends. Almost there. Okay. Here we go. Boom. Okay, more detail. What have I added here? If you can see this. So this, you can see I've added front, central or mid, and back. Okay? Front, mid, and back is usually how I'll say this, but the official International Phonetics Association describes this middle part as central. So if you go out and do your own research, you'll see central. I will usually call it mid, but it is central officially. All right. What are we dealing with in terms of the mouth here? All right. Most of you will initially say, that must be the front, mid, or central area and back of the mouth. Okay. For all intents and purposes, yeah, that's true. But Let me ask you this question. Where, my friends, where does the front of your mouth start? Where does it end? Where does the middle of your mouth start and where does it end? Where does the back of your mouth start and where does it end? We don't know. It's way too nebulous for us to use the term front of the mouth, middle of the mouth, back of the mouth. What we want to do instead is think of this as being the front, middle, and back of the, wait for it, dorsum of the tongue, all right? The body of the tongue here. Front, middle, and back. Because those places, my friends, you absolutely know where they are. No ifs, ands, or buts. You know where the front, middle, and back of your dorsum are. We have explored that. You've touched them. You've felt them arch and cup and do all sorts of cool stuff. All right? So front, middle, and back of the dorsum here is what we're dealing with. Front, mid, and back of the dorsum. All right. Now, I'm going to just check in to see if there's any questions here. Oh, Evan is here. Evan Mackey. He's actually a client of mine. Just finished the beginning accent skills workshop and a section of office hours with me. Evan's a great, hungry young actor. I'm excited to move forward in the process. But Evan, and he's even said this. He says, I recommend you get Chris's beginner skills accent skills workshop. Just completed it. Got a lot out of it. Evan, thank you for the recommendation. My friends, if you are interested in learning accents today, start with my Accent Skills Workshop. It's online. It's on demand for limited time only. If you use the coupon code TMFAROCKS, that's TMFAROCKS, all one word, all caps, you get 30% off. I have 10 of these coupon codes. The first 10 actors to sign up today, you'll get them. Everybody else, too late. You snooze, you lose. But that's active until the end of the month here in September. So you get 30% off if you go today. Basque Victory. Basque, yet again, good to see you, my friend. Evan says, the vowel chart. Exactly, the vowel chart or the vowel space. Elizabeth Subby says, thank you for using visuals. I'm in love with my visuals. If you take my Accent Skills Workshop and start working with me, you're going to see my flashcards. I have tons of flashcards and visual aids, so you'll see those a lot. And Evan, comment below. Tell them how often they're going to see my flashcards. All right, Christina Harris. This looks basically like a high-low front-back vowel chart. In a way, yes. High, low, back, front. But let's be more specific about what we're talking about. I'm going to add a little more detail to the party here, okay? I'm going to add some new words to this. All right, here we go. I've added some more detail. Okay. What words did I write here? All right, you'll see I have close, close mid, mid, open mid, and open. Close to open. What, pray tell, my friends, am I talking about with close, close mid, mid, open mid, and open? What's going on there? All right. Some of you, no doubt, will think, oh, well, that's how closed or open the mouth is. And, again, for all intents and purposes, you're not wrong, but you're not right either. You're in the area here. So what we're dealing with in terms of close to close mid, etc., keep in mind I've said close, not closed. Because we're in Shapelandia. We're making shapes. So that means that we can't be closed, otherwise we'd be making obstructions and we'd be in Consonantlandia. All right, so shapes only here in vowels. That means the articulators have to be close together. And I just used the magic word, articulators. This set of words here, close, close mid, mid, open mid, and open, refers to the relative closeness or openness from each other of the articulators. Now, what are the articulators? Has anybody out there ever heard somebody say, can you articulate more there? Can we get some more better articulation? Articulate, please. Need some articulation. Anybody ever said that to you? Well, if they have, really what they're asking for is more precise articulation. Precision, dexterity, flexibility from the articulators. What are the articulators? Ah, body parts that move. Okay, so of all of these body parts here, I want you to think of the articulators. For instance, my fingers can articulate. My microphone on an articulating stand. These body parts here that move articulate. So, jaw articulates. Lips articulate. Tongue articulates. Soft palate and uvula, they articulate, don't they? Okay, they definitely articulate. The larynx can articulate and can articulate down. Can go up and down. All right? These are the body parts that move. Now, the teeth, articulator or not? Yeah, they don't move, do they? The lower teeth go on a ride. They go on a ride on the jaw, but they don't move. Alveolar ridge. Also doesn't move. Hard palate. Also doesn't move. Now, I want you guys to get used in this industry to people describing all of these body parts as articulators. But for us in accent work, you need to be aware that we have to make a distinction between what moves and what doesn't. So the things that move we'll call articulators. The things that do not move, the teeth, alveolar ridge, etc., points of articulation. Articulators move and touch points of articulation. Groovy? All right, but get used to all of this being called your articulators, and in fact, I will do that myself. Okay, but I will often also make that distinction. So, closeness or openness of articulators. So what would it be like if your articulators were as open from each other as possible? Do that right now. All right, that's about as open as my articulators can be from each other. Now, what would it be like if the articulators were as close to each other as possible without being closed? We have discovered a close articulator position. All right, so go back to the openest open articulator position. And now the closest. And now go open again. And now halfway. And now go a little bit more close. Back to midway. And a little more open. All the way open. To here. All the way close. To open mid. And open. And close. Okay. That's what this close to open wordage is all about. So we have front, mid, and back of the dorsum up top here. And we have how close or open the articulators are from each other. There. Now, I'll add one final piece of important detail to this. Oh, it's getting real, everybody. It's getting real. It's so real now. Wait for it. Here we go. Boom. Okay. So now I've added some detail on this side here. All right. And you notice that I've extended this midline out here. And I've drawn an arrow up and it says arched, and an arrow down and it says cupped. So what I'm referring to here is this. This midline, all right, a lot of people in the business will call that the midline, the equator. I will call this the holy line of demarcation because it's very important. This is a holy line of demarcation because it demarks something very important from the top area of this chart to the bottom area of this chart. Everything that we're dealing with in the top area above this dotted line, the tongue is going to be arched. And everything we target below this dotted line, the tongue is going to be cupped. So what this also means, my friends, is that close articulator positionings, from close to mid, will all deal with tongue arching. all right, and open articulator positions from open to mid will all deal with cupped tongue positions. So now we can say, for instance, this. If I put some target anywhere on this chart, like there, for instance, we know we're dealing with back of the dorsum. We know we're dealing with a fairly close-ish articulator position, and we know that it's arched. So we know that that part of the back of the dorsum is arched. This, my friends, is how we target vowel sounds in accents. Let me just give you a couple of pictures of this. All right. Now, this requires a lot of practice and a lot of exercising going around this chart and putting this in here, because that's where this fits. All right. I want you to think of your nose being right up here in this area right there. And that's where your nose goes. So this is all the space inside your mouth. All right. Here's a couple of examples of this. All right. This is a vowel chart that I drew for a client where we're working on a general American accent. So here are some targets in here that are dealing with some relative locations in someone's mouth for a general American accent. Here's a chart that I made for somebody who is learning a Texas accent. Little bit different. We're dealing with some movement now within this chart and some static positions and some other stuff like that. Okay? But we can use this chart as a very powerful tool to help you understand where your accent lives, because, my friends, you have a home here. You have a home here. Your home here is where your preferred accents vowels live. Because this represents a space in which all 7,000 plus languages on the face of the planet live, including yours and including your preferred accent. So one of the things that we do when we work together, you and I, is we find, where does your preferred accent live in here, so we can find your home. And then we know how to get from your home to the vacation house of the Texas accent, for instance. We know how to do that work. All right, but until we know where you live here, we're only sort of guessing about how to get from there to the target accents vowels. Yeah? All right, my friends. The vowel space is a very, very, very important tool. I cannot tell you how important it is. But if you don't master a facility with this and put it inside your own mouth, accents will forever, ever be far away from you. So just know this is a piece of linguistic technology, if you will, that you're going to have to learn how to use. And just like anything that you've ever learned how to use, it is learnable. Don't let the fact that this looks like a fancy chart with, graphy things, and I could call it a schematic, or I could talk about X and Y axes on here. Don't let any of that verbiage scare you, my friends. It's just a picture of the inside of your mouth. That's all it is. And you've got to get to know it, and you've got to get to know what it feels like in your own mouth for it to be truly, truly useful. So Christina, in terms of a basically high, low, front and back vowel chart, I guess, yes, it is, but we want to add more detail and nuance to this picture ultimately to help us out. Let me check it to see if we have some questions here. Singing my song about accents. Boy, I'm kind of punchy today, my friends. It's happening. It's happening. Okay, so one question that I get asked a lot about this, all right, is when I take your accent skills workshop, Chris, I feel a little lost here. I feel a little lost here because I don't get any immediate feedback from you just in the recording on the on-demand workshop. And I would say, yeah, don't worry about that. Guys, when you go take the accent skills workshop, which I'm going to say again, there are 10 coupons for you to use TMFA Rocks for 30% off just until the end of the month. Go take advantage of it today, my friends. Start your accent journey now. The time is now to level up your career. All right? When this industry opens up after there's a COVID vaccine and we can all get back to work, you do not want to be the actor who didn't invest in their training when everyone else did, and now you have to play catch up to try to get in. Right? Don't be that actor. Please don't be that actor. We don't want you to be that actor. Be the actor who really invested in themselves, worked on their package, worked on their materials, worked on making sure that they were ready to go, including accent-wise. The time to work on your accent skills is before you need them. All right, before you need them. If you want to ask, I'm just seeing in this chart, in this chat, both Evan Mackey and James Knight have been here. They're both my clients who've taken the skills workshop. Ask them both what it would be like to approach an accent without the accent skills. Ask them both. They'll be happy to answer your question. But now is the time, my friends. So when you take my skills workshop, do not let this part be any more for you than an exploration of what might be possible for you to feel in your own mouth. And then you can come to me and we'll work in my office hours on all of this. Yeah, Christina says, it's really helpful once you get used to it. Just don't be upset if it looks like math at first. It's really not. It really isn't. A lot of people get turned off by practical phonetics because there's lots of charts and symbols, and it does look like math and science, when in reality it's not. All right, it's a language that we use to describe human speech so that we can describe it to each other and you can use it in your acting. And she says it's very helpful. I agree, Christina, it totally is. And lots of people start out intimidated by technical stuff, and that's totally okay. It's totally okay. We just don't want to be, that's a preconceived notion, an assumption about this. That isn't true at all. It's a linguistic bias. And what do we do with our linguistic biases? We say, oh, I'm having a linguistic bias. Shall I give in to it or not today? I choose not in this moment. All right. All right, Elizabeth Selby asks, when taking your class, do you assign people an accent or do they choose? Fantastic question, Elizabeth. All right, so for the accent skills workshop, just know this. All right, it's going to be a yes and no answer. Accent skills workshop is designed to teach you the basic, fundamental, foundational skill and technique you need to even be able to attempt an accent. All right. So we're not focusing on any one specific accent. Now, that being said, these skills do not live in a vacuum. So these skills have to be directed towards a certain accent that you have in mind, that you are interested in mastering first. So, to answer that question, no, I will not assign a specific accent because that's not what the skills class is about necessarily, but you will need to have an accent in mind that you are interested in focusing on as you move forward. Can that accent change if it needs to? Absolutely. Nothing is ever set in stone, but just know that that's the direction I will point you in. All right. Oh, Evan, thank you so much for putting my website on the comments there. It is dialectcoachchrislang.com. All right. There is a button there that you can push on my homepage that will take you to the Beginning Accent Skills Workshop. If you want to go directly there, it's courses.dialectcoachchrislang.com. Either way works fine. And again, remember, TMFA rocks. Take that coupon code when you sign up for the class for 30% off. Kimberly Natalia Scarf says, just signed up. Very excited. Such a generous deal. Thank you so much. You're very welcome, Kimberly. I'm here to help. I want to make sure you guys get the best accent training possible in your journey. Christina asked, next week, can you do consonants? Because I still can't get the TOSA click right. Yes, I can. I can definitely talk about consonants. Won't be able to go through all of them because it's a ton of information. But yeah, next week, let's go through consonants for sure. Christina, excellent suggestion. Now's the time for me to also say this. Vowels are shapes, consonants are obstructions. Vowels are not A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. Okay? The reason this is so is because spoken language, written language, very different. So vowels and consonants don't mean the same things in the different places, whether it's written language or spoken language. In spoken language, the realm we're dealing with here, vowels are shapes, consonants are obstructions. And this can be a little confusing, for instance, because the American R sound, lives usually about right there in the mouth, which means it's a shape, which means that the American R is a vowel, my friends. Crazy. Only Americans do that. We're nuts in the world. We're the only people who do that. So go fig, right? America, with our vowel R. But yeah, so consonants will be the other side of it. Consonants, my friends, are usually a little more concrete because there are physical actions that are easier to like hit and feel and put together. So just know that. But yeah, I will go through the consonant chart a little bit as well, and we'll hit some of the consonants. The difference between the ones that require airflow and the ones that don't, for instance, which is, Christina, when we talk about this language, osa, where you're dealing with a lateral alveolar click. All right? At the same time, then we're following it up with some other pulmonic action, which means airflow out of the lungs. But we'll talk about all that next week. Just a tease, my friends, just a tease. Okay. Fantastic. And Evan says, yay, Kimberly, not be let down by taking the Accent Skills Workshop. He says, be sure to check out my office hours as well. Office hours. Fantastic. She says she signed up for those as well. Guys, my office hours, if you want to know, are weekly 20-minute private sessions where you check in with me about anything that you're working on within the Accent Skills Workshop. All right, so you get a chance to actually bring your questions to me. Now it's interactive, and we get to work on something together. I get to elucidate some points, help you on an exercise or two, coach you through some stuff, even start working on the target accent that you have in mind. They are invaluable. I cannot recommend them highly enough. If you buy a 6-pack of them all at once, you'll get 25% off. So that's one per week for your Accent Skills Workshop. And Christina says, yes, stops, fricatives, etc. Those are names of some of the consonants that we can encounter. But again, a teaser. We'll just deal with that all next time. All right, my friends, I'm gonna give it another 30 seconds here for some additional questions. But I've been talking nonstop for almost 40 minutes. And as much as I love the sound of my voice, and I really do love the sound of my voice, I have to stop and let information sink in and give you guys a chance to ask some questions. So any final questions before we're done? If you find that you got your question in after this was over, I'll circle back. I look at the comments. I will make sure to answer your question if you're watching this not live. So there's that. Let me see. Anything else I can say about vowel spaciness? Except to say this. Yeah, here's the last thing I'll say. Just know this, my friends. Any target we place on here is not a prescriptive target. Meaning that if you don't hit that one little shape there, you've done it wrong. Okay? I want you to think about these as relative locations, relative areas of vowelness. I have a colleague, Eliza Simpson, one of my favorite accent coach friends in the whole world, who calls these misty clouds of vowelness, and she could not be more right. They are misty clouds of vowelness, sometimes strange, often hard to understand, but once you get the physical self, clicks in. Okay, so Basque asks a question. How you approach the new accent with this? Knowing your current position or knowing the position of the new accent? Both, Basque. Excellent question. We have got to do both. All right? If you remember way back, Basque, oh gosh, this must be June that I probably did this one, or July. Maybe even May now that I'm thinking about it. I talked about like how to define your preferred accent and why it's important we know what that is. Because we have to know how to get from there to the target accent. But if we don't know where there is, we have no idea how to get from there to the target accent. And we have to be able to plan that trip. You know, the drive to New York is very different if you start in Miami versus Seattle. Right? Destination's the same, but the trip is a very different trip. So we have to do the same thing with accents. So within here, we have to know where you live, Basque, because you have a home here. Your accent, your preferred accent, your languages all live in here. And if we know where those are, then we know how to change them or alter them, or sometimes we just remove them, we add some stuff. But we know where we are in here compared to where you speak on a daily basis. So yeah, Basque, we're going to use both of those things for sure. And like I said, this is a super powerful tool once you get it down. Oh, Christina says, maybe show some examples of A before you go. I can't type the IPA here, so hopefully it makes sense. Like a slightly more front, back, open, close variation or other vowel. Great. Okay. So let me give you an example of a physical action here. All right. I'm going to target this one right here. Okay. So this is a front of the dorsum. We're in an open articulator position. We're going to be cupped in the very front of the dorsum here. All right. And I am going to move this. I'm going to start in this position, and I'm going to move to here. Okay. And all I'm doing is keeping the open articulator position, and I'm moving the cup from the front to the middle to the back of my dorsum. Here's what this will look like. All right. So open articulator position, cupped front of dorsum. So I get something like this. Ah, ah. So I can go from here, ah, ah, ah. We're now cupped in the back of the dorsum. All right? Now, those all sound kind of ah-ish, don't they? And to some of you, those sounds may seem very, very similar. For instance, if I speak in a Boston accent, I'm going to make that sound a little bit here. And I'm going to go pack the car and have it yard. All right? But if I was, let's say I was, and this is on my mind because I have a few clients who are native South Africans. And they use this location here for their ah sound. So they'll say, well, I was trapped there, trapped. I had a trap, an ah thing that I fell into. All right? And if I was British, I might say, well, I was in the bath here. All right? So these are just some examples. Thank you, Christine. That was a great idea. Thank you for this. And while I'm on this, friends, where on this chart does it say what to do with your lips? Anything? Anything at all? Nothing. All right. There is no information here about lip shape because lip shape is independent of tongue arching, cupping, and articulator openness. So I could, for instance, do this shape right here, this close front vowel, unrounded lips, and I get something like this. E, E. I can keep that same tongue position, all right, and just round the lips, and I get E, E, E. All right, so the lips are independent of whatever else is happening in here. But yeah, this is good reminder of all of this. Christina, thank you for that. That's a fun exercise to do. All right, any other questions before I'm done? Again, almost 45 minutes of me yucking away. All right, everybody. I'll call it there. If you have any other questions, put them in the comments, and I will check in with them as I do on Facebook. It's always a pleasure to come here. I love how hungry you guys are. I love how dedicated you are as artists. Like I said, do not let this opportunity of a COVID shutdown go to waste. Now is the time to invest in your training and to expand casting opportunities with Accents. So go to my website, dialectcoachchrislang.com. Click the button there to go through all of the to go to the Accent Skills Workshop page to sign up and use the coupon code TMFA Rocks. All right, go there, look at that. You'll get 30% off. Sign up for my office hours. You buy that 6-pack, and you will get 25% off if you buy that 6-pack. And final question, I'll just say, Basscast, this is all just about the movement of the tongue. Not all. Movement of the tongue is a big part of this, but it's about how open or close the articulators are and which part of the tongue we're moving and these kinds of things. So it's all holistic. All right, my friends, it's been a pleasure. I will see you next Tuesday, wherein we shall explore obstructions, i.e., consonants. If you have any other topics you'd like me to cover, do a TMFA question hashtag and let me know about it on the page. As always, I'm here to help. You should never feel weird about reaching out to me. Go to my website. You can leave your info with my friendly chatbot, and we'll schedule a time to talk. All right, everybody, until we meet again, it's been a pleasure. Have a great week. Stay hydrated, stay safe. Get outside in the fresh air if you can. If you're in the smoke, stay inside. No going outside for you, just for a little while longer. The fires will pass soon. All right, my friends, until we meet again. Bye, everybody.